Hello and welcome to the Mailboarder version 4 child server installation guide. During this video, I will cover how to add a Mailboarder child server to a Mailboarder cluster. If you have not already done so, please navigate to the child install guide on the Mailboarder website by selecting Install from the top main menu and V4 Child Install Guide. The first check is a requirement check. A Mailboarder master server must be in place prior to installing a Mailboarder child server, as a Mailboarder child server is an extension of a Mailboarder cluster. The minimum recommended hardware for a child server is 2 CPU cores, 512 megs of RAM, and a 40 gig hard drive. When you install your operating system, please only install one from this list of supported operating systems. Mailboarder has been designed for and tested with the following operating systems. Installation on any other operating system will more than likely not work. Please note, if you're a Red Hat Enterprise Linux user, your server must be subscribed to the following channels: Red Hat Common and Rail Server Optional. The first step is to register the child server on the master server. So in this case, I have a master server here already waiting, and I'm going to navigate to, on the left menu, down to Mailboarder Servers. As you can see, this cluster already has two servers in it. One is the master server and another child server. We're going to be adding a second child server to this cluster. To do so, click Add Server and then type in the host name of this server. Also enter the IP address, and as an option, you can also enter an IPv6 address. You can enter an IPv4 and an IPv6, or an IPv6 with no IPv4. However, you cannot leave them both blank. For the class, this is a child server. Operating system, in this case I'm using Ubuntu 12. I will leave the default policies in place. The Mailboarder server now is creating the templates for the new server. It has created a mail scanner template and a postfix template for this server. So let's go back to the installation guide. And the next step is to record the installation data. During the child server install process, you will need the GUID, DB user, and the DB password. You can get this information from the master server if you go to the server that you just created and over to DB user and click View. Displayed here will be the GUID, DB user, and the DB password. Some important notes. Child servers should be set to the same time zone as master servers, regardless of their physical location or the time zone that they are in. Failure to do so will result in inaccurate logging. Do not remove IP tables. Also, do not install third-party utilities such as Webmin. These utilities can make changes on Mailboarder master servers and child servers that can cause the servers to malfunction. Please ensure your hostname is set correctly in Etsy hostname. If it is not, please change it and reboot the server before you install. It is possible to change the IP address on both Mailboarder master and child servers. However, it's always better to use the IP address that you're going to be using in production when you do the install. If you're using OpenVZ with a VNet adapter, it may not have a MAC address. If this is the case, you can add a second adapter using VETH, and then you can simply assign an IP that is not used or non-routable or both to that adapter. Our next task is to record the MAC address. This is a blank server. The installation was done using the Ubuntu 12 server edition. So I'm going to type ifconfig and get the hardware address from here. And I'm going to copy that to my clipboard. Coming back, the next step is to obtain a license key. To get a license key, you need to go to the Mailboarder store, which is here, and go to the appropriate category, Child Licenses. And I'm going to do a 1-year license. And in this box, I'm going to paste in the MAC address. I'm going to add this item to my cart, and then I'm going to check out. Click through these items and use this coupon code if you have one. select your method of checkout, and once the store has completed your order, a license will be generated, and it is available under this link, Licenses, or at the top under My Account and Licenses. You will see I have two child server addresses, and the one that I need is 0422. So I'm going to download this license and save it. I'm going to go back to my install guide, and the next step is to download the install script. Each server requires wget and unzip to continue with the install process. Since I'm using Ubuntu, I'll be using the apt-get install. And while this executes, I'm going to go back and I'm going to select the install script from my operating system. I'm going to go back to my server and download that install script. The next step is to install Mailboarder. To do so, you unzip the file and run that file with sh and the file name. So the first item I need is the master server's IP address. So I'm going to enter that. And the next item I need is the GUID that was assigned by the master server. I can go back to my master server here and get that GUID. And the next item is the DB user. And the next item is the password. When presented with this question, which is about saving the IPv4 rules, simply select yes for all the defaults. For postfix, also just select the defaults, and the same for system mail name. Once the installation is complete, you will be at this screen. The first thing I need to do before I reboot is I need to copy the license file over to the server. To do that, I'm going to rename this license with an s.php, and I'm going to open, in my case, FileZilla, and I'm going to go to the Mailboarder directory on this server, and I'm going to copy this file over. Once that is complete, I'm going to reboot this server. I will pause the video until the server comes back up. The child server has come back online, and I'm going to go back to the master server and check the task status. As you can see, this server here has already completed its mailer configuration file rebuild. You can validate this on the child server by going to the etc directory and rules, and you can see all of the rules here. So now this server will now process email for the entire cluster just as if it were the master server.